Welcome back. There are a couple of institutions that really personify Connecticut. Pepe's Pizza, the Travelers Tower, and our next guest, John Dankosky, who stunned the state when he announced he was leaving Connecticut Public Broadcasting, WNPR, and John is with us here today. So good to see you on the program, John.
Pepe's Pizza, huh?
Well, we'll throw you out. So tell me, what led to this decision?
Well, I've been with Connecticut Public Radio and Connecticut Public Broadcasting for 25 years, and it was time for a change. The company underwent a management shift earlier this year, and they offered buyouts to longtime employees, people who'd been there 20 years or longer. And I considered that, and I thought, you know what? Right now in my career, there's an opportunity to do something new, and I think I'll take it.
What is that something new?
I'm not quite sure yet, and I'm working on that right now. I really want to stay in journalism, obviously, and I want to stay here. My wife and I have made a life here. She owns a yoga studio in New Hartford. We're really involved in the community, and so we want to be right here. And I'm one of those people that reacts pretty negatively every time I see one of those op-eds in the Hartford Courant. Somebody's going to leave Connecticut for greener pastures. I'd like to stay right here as long as I can. So we're going to stay here and work on some new things.
Yeah, one of the things I like about you is that you love Connecticut. And you love people to love Connecticut, as I do. We've made this, because I'm not from here either, but I've made the choice to be here. When you read these columns that people are leaving, I'm sure you can see their arguments.
Absolutely.
What do you say to them?
Well, you know, it's interesting. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. And again, I'm not a cheerleader for Connecticut. I mean, both you and I have had long careers where we ask people tough questions and try to get to the bottom of why things aren't better here sometimes. But the fact of the matter is that this is a place that has an awful lot going for it. There are sites of beauty. There's a lot of opportunities for people. And it's a really interesting place that you can do a lot of different things. And I've just always felt at home here ever since I moved here some 25 years ago. And I feel like it's a place that we should defend a little bit more than we do. Even as journalists, it's sometimes nice to stand up for the place that you live. You know?
Looking back at the last 25 years, what was your most difficult interview?
Most difficult interview. Well, I had a lot of difficult interviews with Governor Malloy, I will tell you that. But he was very gracious to me. He would come on the air every single month on Where We Live when I hosted that show, and we'd talk and sometimes we'd battle. And it was interesting getting a chance to know somebody over a long period of time where you have to ask tough questions, and he liked mixing it up a bit. So almost everyone was difficult, but we got a lot out of them, I think.
Is there someone who would not come on your program who you tried very valiantly to get on?
You know, not really. We had most of the people on who we wanted to. I think you and I both remember there was a time at which Governor Rell didn't like doing too many unscripted conversations with the press, but we talked with her a few times. For the most part, we got a chance to talk to everybody we wanted to, and we talked to people who were scientists, you know, Nobel laureates. We talked to people who were municipal officials and people who were just doing interesting things in their community, and that's the stuff I really like. You know? You've
seen Connecticut change over 25 years. It was a more populous place back then. Our politics have changed a little bit in terms of, you know, who's in charge. You know, in terms of looking back at the last 25 years, has Connecticut gotten better or worse?
It's interesting. It's become, well, let me tell you this. It's a really good place to tell stories. So if you're a journalist here, it's a place with a lot of contrast and a lot of dynamics, right? There's a lot of rural areas. There's suburbs. There's cities. There's people who come from all over the world. I mean, one of the things that I'm proudest of that we've covered in the last couple of years with the New England News Collaborative is the changing demographic mix of this region, not just the state. I mean, we have people coming from all over the world, and they're the ones who are helping us from losing population as quickly as we are. And so I find it to be a dynamic place that has a lot of different people with different ideas, and that leads to good storytelling. And there's a lot of friction at times, and that leads to good stories. And so those things have I think, changed, maybe even exacerbated over time. It makes for a really good storytelling environment, a good journalism environment, honestly.
There was no internet when you and I started here in Connecticut.
Absolutely
no social
not.
media. How has that impacted the way that politics are covered in our state?
Oh my goodness, it's changed everything. I forget what it was like to have to do research beforehand. I mean, what do? You need to look up something just before an interview.
Go get the file.
And you go get the file on everything that you'd seen before. You'd go to the library and you'd look up old clips. That has changed substantially. But I've been lucky. I've been surrounded by enormously talented, very young colleagues who've learned how to grapple with the new technology much more quickly than I have. And I've had some amazing colleagues at Connecticut Public over the years.
What is your legacy?
My legacy. My legacy is I'm just the guy who likes to talk on the radio, and hopefully people enjoy listening to me on the radio. But I just really like to talk to people in general.
But you created some programming.
Yeah, we created a couple shows. I was thrilled to bring Colin McEnroe over to Connecticut Public Radio to start Where We Live, which Lucine Alpathanchel hosts so well right now. To start the New England News Collaborative. To do an awful lot of work, a lot of journalism at a place that didn't do journalism 25 years ago. So I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of the national work we've done with National Public Radio. So I feel like it's a place that's grown, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of Katie Tolarski, who runs our radio station now, who's one of my producers very early on at the start of Where We Live. I'm proud of all these people who've made this thing possible. So, and if that's a legacy, that I feel pretty good about.
You have 1 week left. What are we going to be hearing on the radio?
Oh my goodness! Well, I've got one more Wheelhouse, my roundtable with Colin McEnroe, coming up next Wednesday, and then I'm going to be on his show, The Nose, which is his cultural roundtable on my last day on November 1st. I'm not sure what he's got planned for me, and then I'm going to see what I'm going to do after that. Probably do some yoga.
And maybe some political coverage?
Hopefully some political coverage, hopefully some more journalism in the area. Not quite ready to unveil anything yet, but I promise you, Dennis, it's going to be good.
Well, I know it's been a pleasure to work with you. I know you and I did a couple debates over the years, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I've learned a lot from you.
Well, I had not so gray a beard at the time.
John Dankosky, best of luck with everything. Thanks for being on the program today. And thank you so much for watching Face the State on this Sunday morning. I'm Dennis House. CBS Sunday Morning with Jane Pauley is coming up next. Our next news is later tonight. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.